Yeah, like I mentioned, the Federal Reserve Charter expiring in December 21st, 2012. That went around. A lot of people, even Alex Jones is saying that it's going to expire. A lot of people, they're not breaking their stance.
Where did that come from?
The charter.
Well, they'll just get another one, right? I mean,
Well, no, there is no charter. It's just
There's
the
no
Federal
such
Reserve
thing.
Act. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 does not have an expiration date. There is no expiration date.
They
There's a
wouldn't
law.
do
The
that.
only way to abolish
The
you
only
gotta
way to abolish. Go on. Sorry.
is to basically Congress to vote to abolish it.
To
Create
law.
another
It's a
law.
law.
You have to use
Yeah.
a law.
To
You have to
create-
vote on a law to remove.
It's
a law.
hard to get rid of a law too. That's another thing people understand.
Right.
Like the Republicans are gonna run on the ticket that we're gonna get rid of this nationalized healthcare act. No, you're not. You know how much you got. First of all, you can't. It hasn't even gone into effect yet.
Not
You
only
cannot
that,
overturn a law if it hasn't gone into effect yet. Technically, it hasn't gone into effect yet. Nobody's been hurt by it. Therefore, there's nothing you could do. To
and there's the
it.
end around that the Democrats are using by letting it go to the Supreme Court, which will be making a decision.
They can't. There's no
But they
standing.
will use that. But they're going to use the Supreme Court like
The
they
only
did
thing,
on
yeah,
others.
The Supreme Court's gonna do
have
this.
right now.
Understand.
Dismissed. There's no standing. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying.
But they're going to use it like they did with Bush. There was no standing with that. What right did the Supreme Court have to vet Florida's? You have to have a revote. There is a protocol that you use in that situation. But they just go, oh,
Well, there's
Supreme
no
Court, what do you
evidence.
say?
There's no
Okay.
evidence that
That's
there
it.
was a fixed outcome to that election.
Oh,
Again,
absolutely.
See,
I believe
no,
that.
there is a lot of evidence though.
Preach
No,
to the
because
choir.
the thing is, when this electronic, there's no paper trail. You could rig any election. It's electronic. How do you
They
get
did a
how do you-
whole recall, and even in their recall, they still found that they just stopped it. That's what
So
really
the
happened.
The Supreme Court
ordered a
just
recall
shut it down.
They shut it down to
on
where-
constitutional grounds.
Right,
Yep.
on their
Because
con-
the thing is,
their
no,
word.
not on
Yeah.
constitutional
So the thing is,
grounds.
Their word.
Not at all.
It was just their
the
word.
Not
Supreme
at all.
Court has to base decision on the highest
But they
supreme law
didn't.
of language.
But
This
they
had nothing to
didn't.
do with the
This
Constitution.
is like
It was
this
just
is like
a
freedom
ploy.
to fascism. It's the same thing.
And it's to give it
And
the
we're seeing
authority,
this
the
more and
basis
more
of
and more.
reality. Oh, we've taken it to these justices and they have found this is the right way.
And that's Roosevelt. That's a
it's-
lot of Roosevelt.
yeah.
That's a lot of why I don't like what Tarpley says.
It's just not
No,
that.
Tarpley is a commie. I mean I mean,
And how is he
Tarpley's
a communist? I mean, this part I need to, because I didn't listen to that whole interview.
There's-
Please explain this to me. I
Tarpley
really
says
want to
there's
understand.
different types of communists, and
Well, yeah,
that's
that's
right. And really, I don't get into the whole he's this or he's that because of that. Because someone might say, okay, well, Sonny thinks this, and this, and that falls into the communist category. So I'm going to call him a communist. Now, if somebody calls themselves that, then
Does Tarpley call himself?
I've
Well,
never
I mean,
heard him call himself a communist.
Tarpley supported
Maybe.
the LaRouche Foundation. Lyndon LaRouche is supportive of Marxism.
Right, but
But he also
but it's
believes
all
in the
labels.
Constitution. Yeah,
And
whatever
it's all
labels,
their-
whatever.
But it's their labels.
Yeah, but
that
labels
we
don't-
use. That we
labels-
don't like. So
yeah,
we
but
don't need
labels-
to even label.
Okay,
our
so then
people like that.
what are their goals?
Ask him. I mean,
Well, that's what I'm
look at-
about
look at
to.
what he's-
That's what I'm about to explain. Tarpley talks about nationalizing the bank,
Yeah,
creating
I
a central
agree
bank.
with you.
I
No,
don't
the
agree
thing is,
with
so
the
does
central
Alex-
bank. That's the fifth plank of
Hold
communism
on,
right
so
there.
does Alex Jones though. He was in Fall Republic saying that we need to have the federal government take over the Federal Reserve.
The federal government should take over the federal government.
The only thing the Constitution says is
The
federal government
Congress
should take
shall print and coin money.
Treasury. I mean, yeah,
But the
Treasury.
thing is, that's our Constitution.
That's the
We
Constitution.
have to do that, but we don't.
But the
Right.
thing is that the idea of our constitutional. I mean, again, I could be wrong. We'd have to read the Constitution for this.
Yeah, I
but
could be wrong.
It's to
The Constitution
create.
says we can only coin.
We can be wrong, huh?
It's
only
to-
coin
We're
bucks.
never wrong.
exactly have a currency backed by a hard asset.
Those who choose good
Right,
wine.
right.
You don't
That's
need
it,
a
yeah.
central
But-
bank. You just need to have the government, to create a treasury department to basically be able to regulate, sound currency.
Right.
Right,
You
and
know,
the thing
that's
is,
basically what that.
that's
again,
the
I
point.
could
That's
be a
what
little.
Kennedy's
That's the-
saying.
Well, what a
was.
central
That's
bank's
what Kennedy's
purpose
You
saying
don't
is-
want
is
to
to
create any kind of a
regulate.
bank, whether it's federally owned or private.
Right.
But
Well,
that's why
they
didn't want
regulate
a central
loans.
bank. They
Bankers
not
are about
be
loans.
A national
Because
bank.
once they charge on
never wanted
interest-
to do that.
That's when
That's
you're gonna
the
have
thing,
all that.
yeah.
This is what's happened with with a private bank or a federal bank. If you have fractional reserve interest bearing currency,
right,
anything with interest, if we all start a bank, right, we're charging people money on interest, eventually all that money is going to filter to us, and our wealth's going to grow, and that person's wealth's going to go down. It's a science. It's mathematics. It's physics.
And it may not be that we have any money or assets at all. We're giving them value based on faith. Faith in the currency.
That's why we shouldn't
and those
have
are
these
that's why they call them Federal Reserve notes.
We need
They're not
local
currency.
Plus,
They're
there's
notes.
exactly.
Well, no,
It's
but
I
I
place
owe
the
you,
value.
right? No,
We
it's
place the value.
I owe
it's
you
the
some
def-
value.
Right. It could also be
What
defined
is
as right. Yeah.
What is
well,
the value?
Right.
It's what we base on, absolutely.
Right, but we
And
also
it's-
need to look at
yeah.
the definition of things like unit of trade. I mean, we're
Yeah.
using money as our unit of trade.
And we're using
That's exactly what
dollars.
it is. Yeah.
Right, that's
And
what I'm saying.
all it is based on the United States government existing and having an economy that will support that debt. And what they do is each time a baby is born,
It's just
the
an endless
Federal
hole.
Reserve
It's like Monopoly.
It's an endless-
yeah, it's exactly what it is.
No, it's
And it-
compound,
and it's
compound interest.
For
on top
every
of
child that's
compound,
born,
compound.
they know they're going to work. Depending
Right.
on who that child is born to, a wealthy family, oh, that's more
I don't know
value.
babies born now. I don't think they want them.
That's why they're trying to kill them.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, then they assign them this social security number, and then the
Well, not only
government
that, a birth
borrows
certificate
money
number.
from the Federal Reserve. They get cash,
Well, no, a
and
birth
it's up to
certificate-
that person when he grows up start paying off that debt.
Right. Well,
And
it's
that's
all-
what it is.
Right, but it also goes back to the way the United States was before during the 1800s. Is that
That was real there.
well, but
Close.
the thing, right, but here's
Status
the thing.
quo.
Here's the thing. This is the catch, though. A lot of people don't realize this is that in order to vote during that period of time, you had to own land.
And you had to be a man.
And you had to be a man. If
A
you
man
did not own
of age.
land, if you did not own land, you could not vote.
Right, because see, in the original, if you look at the original framers of the Constitution, they were all landholders who were wealthy, successful in business, knew how to meet budgets, take care of people,
Right.
even if they were slaves.
Right. So then again, we go
okay,
back to the
true.
United States corporation. So the United States
But they
operating.
didn't take a salary even in government.
Right.
They didn't take a salary.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
It's
So
a
we look at
representative type of
But
thing.
we look at- yeah, there's
A republic.
right. So
Which
there's
is
the
what
United.
we're not a
That's
democracy.
right. That's what I was going to get at. We have the
We're
United
not a
States.
democracy.
We have the United States Republic, and
Yeah.
then we have the United States Corporation, which
Yes.
is Washington D.C.
And that started in 1913.
And
well, actually, no, it goes a little bit
who-
further back. But
which one should
the Federal
should
Reserve,
we
1913.
Out of those two choices, what do we choose?
What do we choose?
The constitutional
The constitutional
government where
backed
the
currency.
country
You want a
uses-
constitutional
you
republic
know,
which is
it's-
egalitarian and fair and just.
Right, and
Well, yeah,
You
but
want,
that's
to
where you have...
you want to create an egalitarian, fair system where everybody starts off with the same tools and the same rights, but it's up to you to determine how far you want to go.
Right, and-
There's not going to be equality at the end because some people are going to work harder than others.
Right, and that's
So there's
just
always
the
going
way
to be
it
rich
is.
and there's always going to be rich and poor people.
Right.
I don't care what any there's never
some
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
always
people
going to
do.
be that split.
But
the
the
reason why some people just put in more work than others. There's always going to be people that have more just because they deserve it. But
Right.
if you have a system where everybody starts off on the same spot, kind of like a race, everybody starts off on the same line.
Oh, yeah, the Constitution levels the playing field.
And that's exactly what the country was set up to do. Be an
Yes.
egalitarian system where people had freedom and resources to do what they chose to.
And
You
they
didn't
were
have
paid
to
in
get-
Are
silver
we getting
and
pretty
gold.
close?
Yeah.
And that's why it's silver certificates
Yeah,
of
so
gold.
right.
Because it's coin
Well-
gold, because it's value,
Right.
true value.
That's
Right,
why
so-
the dollar was named after the tailor, the German tailor, which was the unit of measurement of silver.
Yes.
That's why it's
And-
called a dollar.
That's why, and the thing is, why do they
So-
not? And it's by the Constitution that we should produce all our currency in gold and silver.
Right.
But we don't do that anymore. Now, why is that?
That's because the
Because
Federal
the
Reserve
Reserve Act
banks,
of 1913 was passed.
the banks wanted to keep the gold and the value and to keep the assets for the people to manipulate markets.
It's because the kids
Right.
don't read the
How it works.
Constitution. The
Right,
kids
yeah,
are
that
too
too.
busy
Yeah.
reading Twilight and vampire
Oh, and being
books
vampires and being.
All right, so we're getting pretty close to the end of the show here.
Wizards and all that.
Yeah, this is Walter Bradley. This is,
Manny?
Sonny.
Greg?
and we're all part of We Are Change.